Oh man, this is not the first time you've been here. So you
No,
know your family anyway.
yes,
So
yes.
every year you guys are always welcome back to this show, to Basic Black After Dark. You're always welcome back. To start, can you tell us a little bit and tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and how you began working with children as they write books?
Sure. Well, as you mentioned, my name is Patricia Harris. Um, I have been working with students probably since 2015. To start out, we was having an authors expo. We were supporting local and independent book authors, and so we would do this annual book expo in different venues. You know, we've done them at the hotel in Timonium, at the DoubleTree, the Crown Plaza Hotel, and Morgan State University. We've done some book expos there, but what we noticed is that a lot of students were starting to attend these expos with their family, with their friends, with their parents. And so, what we wanted to do was develop a program also for youth in reading, writing, and just being creative. And so we started Youth Writers Challenge. Youth Writers Challenge was really a platform to allow students ages 9 to 17 to creatively express themselves, whether it's through word, like poetry or storytelling, or through dance or music. But we just wanted them to be creative with whatever came to mind, basically. And we wanted to give them that platform to do that. So we started Youth Writers Challenge, and we would go to Mondawmin Mall or Security Square Mall or to Towson Mall, and just provide a platform where they can actually get on stage and get creative. And from that, we kind of turned into a writing program. And that was Youth Writers Rock, which is now a 6 month writing program. So while we still challenge students to be creative with the skill set, um,
Wow.
dancing or singing or poetry, we're still um, developing the writing skills of the students by doing Youth Writers Rock.
Wow, that's awesome. It's an awesome program. So, to our youth, we have several of them here tonight. We're so excited to have you here. Can you tell us your name, how old you are, and the title of the book that you've written or the one that you're working on?
Let's start with Preston.
We can start. Give us your
My
name, your
name's
age,
Preston
and what book you're
Hall.
writing. Oh, and how old are you,
My
Preston?
name's Preston Hall. I'm 14, and I published the book Mixed Paths.
Myths Past. Now, was that book published this year or last year? I believe I read that book
That book was published
This
in
was last year.
last year. Yep, it was
last
published.
year. Okay. And Dylan, what about you? Give me some information on you.
Hello, my name is Dylan
Yeah.
Tech, and I have composed the book Adventures of the Atlas Superheroes.
Okay,
Okay.
that's
So you said that, Dylan. I'm sorry. That was what was the title of your book, Dylan?
It is The Adventures of the Atlas Superheroes.
Oh, wow. And how old are you?
I'm 12 years old.
Okay. Kendall, give me some insight on you.
Hello, I'm Kendall Jackson. I'm an 18-year-old author, and I also wrote Mixed Paths.
Okay. Here we go. Benjamin?
Hi, my name is Benjamin Lopez. I'm 11 and I helped make the book Adventures of the Antlers Superheroes.
Okay. I think I may have seen you before. And what about you, Ralph? Can you give me a little bit about you? I got to talk to you about that one. What about you, Tristan? Welcome aboard. You're on mute, Tristan.
Right, the sole influencer.
Okay. Okay. We have some people that had joined us that said good evening, and that's from Latanya. Patricia said, hey, hey, hey. And Press is a good read and excited to read it. Congratulations to Preston. Wow, you guys are something else. So I got some famous authors on here already. So you guys, especially those who may not think that they're writers.
I'm sorry, Black Diamond. And can you repeat that if that was a question?
But yeah, I was asking, how do you help children unlock their creativity, especially for those who may not think that they're writers?
Um, we just let them be free, right? We don't try and um help them along, making a decision about what they think is a good story. So we kind of get some information from them first. We kind of ask them what movies they like or what books they like to read or what they think is interesting, and from there we ask them to throw out some ideas like what is something you would like to write that you think people would find an interesting read. And so we really kind of pull that information out of them in terms of we're first finding out what they enjoy, what they enjoy doing, what they enjoy reading, what they enjoy watching on TV. And then from there, we ask them what else they think would be creative. What else do they believe would be a really good movie or a really good book to read? And so based on those ideas that they kind of share with us, we kind of put them all up on the wall, and then we get to look at all those creative ideas that they came up with.
Wow. Where did your story idea come from? Kendall, can you hear? Can you hear me? You're on mute.
I'm sorry, say it again.
You're
Can
still
you
on
hear
mute.
me?
Where did your story idea come from?
Our
Yes, I can hear you.
story. Oh, okay. Our story was like basically just random ideas that we all put together and came up with, like as a collaboration, as I'm sorry, and as a team.
So was that the same thing for you, Dylan? That it just came together because you're 12, so you wasn't in the same group that Kendall was in. How did your story idea come about?
So our story idea came via us just putting out different ideas, and one of the ideas that we came up with was aliens, and that became something that we all agreed on. So that's basically how we came up with our plot.
So, Benjamin, was this something that you imagined that you'd be doing on your own, or did someone help you shape your idea into writing this book?
They helped me shape it because I don't think I could have written this all by myself. Writing a book is a big task, but with my group it was easy.
Oh wow. So that's teamwork for you. It was teamwork. Essence. What part of writing your book was the most fun?
The part that was most fun was like picking the character that I chose and like, exploring with her.
And what was the title of your book?
Can you repeat that?
What is the title of your book?
The Soul Influencer.
Oh, okay. Excuse me. Miss Pat and her team are very intentional in nurturing of each student, and that's from Press Mom. And Patricia Gimble is about to get longer. Now, let me tell you about Patricia Grimble. She is more like a critic. She gets books, she reads them, and she just goes through them and she invites you. She has a podcast as well. She's one of my sister podcasters. And she reads the books and she invites guests to come on her show and she talks to you more in depth than what I do about your books. Okay. So, Preston, what was the hardest part of writing your book?
The hardest part about writing my book was honestly trying to figure out how I could make my character like image me, so to speak. So my character was Carden, so me having to put my own personality into him, that was kind of challenging. But with everybody help, it made it easier.
Okay. Tristan, what part of this book did you find to be that you resonated with the most?
Hmm. I think my role in the book was I was kind of like I was one of the main characters, and I think my role in the book was to try to help get things along and like help everybody get along in the book. So I feel like that's how I would be in real life if that book were to like happen in real life. I would be the one to try to not like lead everything, but like try to help things get along to make things go more smoother.
Okay. So D. Ron Howell said, "Proud of you, Kendall." Ralph, what were you thinking when Miss Pat invited you to write your book?
Ralph might still be having some technical difficulties.
I know Pat. I think so. I think he's probably having some. It's probably the weather that's really
Mhm.
getting to him. So, Pat, what does the process look like when working with children from the first idea to the final draft?
When they first come into session, we it's a 6 month writing program. So we usually go from January to May. And depending on the number of books that we're trying to pull out of the group, we might do a session every Saturday or we might do a session every other Saturday. So just by the number of participants that sign up and the number of books that we're trying to publish will determine whether we're meeting twice a month or whether we're meeting 4 times a month. But the first couple of sessions when the kids come in, it's really just everyone getting to know each other, right? These students probably, well, it appears that a lot of them are going to different schools, they live in different areas. So this is the first couple of sessions is really just the opportunity for them to get to know one another. So we do a lot of icebreakers with them, and really try and get to see their things that they like to do and places they've been and just kind of see the connections between the students because they're going to be with each other for 6 months, right? So it's kind of a way of
Yeah.
getting them to know a little more about each other. And then we again go into probably into the third session or so, really start going into those key elements that it takes to write a good book. And what is it, what are those key elements? We know that you need characters, right? We know that the book has to take place somewhere. Where is that place that the storyline of the book is going to take place in? And every good story, a fiction story has to have a villain. So we kind of just go through those key things that every story has to have, and kind of get their insight and their input, what they think is going to need to go into the story to make it a really good book, for another student to want to pick up and read. And so again, we give the students the floor, right? We're simply just writing down what they're telling us, right? We're just kind of jotting everything down, and we, as a group, they then have to decide which direction they want to go in with their story. Do they want to make it about an alien, or do they want to make it about four friends who go on a journey? They have to then vote on the storyline that they want their book to be about. And so from beginning
Oh
of
wow.
the sessions to the end,
Right.
they have to work as a team, and they have to make decisions as a team. And I think that really helps them to develop collaborating, and just whole team building, just things that they can take with them into school, or into the workforce, or just do into life. It's just really listening to the other people on your team and working with your team. And that's generally
So
how we start,
writing
probably the first month
a
of.
book, writing a book can be difficult for some. Sometimes some people say I'm going to write a book and I'm just going to put it in the back of my drawer and I'll get to it. Or some people may feel as though that they have writer's block. Was there a time that any of you felt that you were stuck in writing the book, where you were writing and then you just sat there and you just were stuck and felt like you wanted to come back to it maybe about a week later or so?
Yeah, I felt like that. I think in the beginning I felt like that since it was my first time ever like writing a book, and like I guess I had so many ideas about what it would be like to actually write a book since I actually like reading, and I always wondered, you know, what goes into writing a book and trying and making it good and making others want to read it. I guess I, had so many ideas, and then like when I finally had the chance to like do it myself, I just became kind of stuck.
So to keep pressing on,
Yeah.
was it something you did? Was what was something? Give me something that you was able to do. Maybe that will help some other people who feel stuck, even adults who get stuck.
Um. Well, for me, I will say that I think that I was, like kind of thinking too deep into it a little bit. So I would just say,
Mm.
just relax and like just try to relax and you know, um, like don't make it too complicated. Try to be creative and
Well, that's a
you
good. That's
know
a good plan.
express
To
it.
Did anybody else feel stuck? Did anybody else feel stuck when they were writing, or did you just go straight through it and like I got this? I'm gonna keep it moving.
See,
So what? Oh, you can go.
see, I felt that
I'm
way,
sorry, Kendall. Repeat that.
but
Oh, no, I was telling
Okay,
him he could go.
Dylan. Dylan, you felt that way?
yeah, I felt that way while writing my chapter because I didn't know what to write. But then, I had eventually found out like what to write and how to write it.
And Kendall, you were going to say?
Oh yes. It's like I started getting writer's block towards the end of the book, but in order how I pushed through it is I would backtrack off of what the other previous chapter was about. They gave me like a kind of an idea to what I could relate my chapter to.
That was perfect because that way it gives you a way to let it flow right into the next chapter instead of somebody saying what they talking about. They said this in that chapter, but this chapter is saying something different. Did any of you find it easier to begin, or did you find it harder to end?
I would say both.
Benjamin, you got your hand raised?
I'm gonna say the beginning was. I want to say the beginning was actually harder for me because I kept getting stuck because I couldn't think of what they were gonna do next. But
Oh
then
wow. So you were already into
end,
looking at towards the end?
towards the end, it got a lot harder since it was hard to think of a matching ending for a great beginning.
Let me ask this. When you did get to
For
the
me, I felt
I
like
know
it
some
was,
people sometimes they get was that you, Preston?
for me, yes. For me, I felt like it was harder in the beginning because I was nervous to start writing because I didn't know necessarily what I wanted to do yet.
Did anybody else feel that same way?
Yeah.
Okay. Pat, what are some of the common challenges children face when writing? And how do you support them through those moments?
I think they all, in different stages of when we're writing, experience the same thing. Like Preston and Benjamin and Tristan said, this is something that they probably have not done before. Of course they go to language arts and or in English class they have to write stories, but this is a little different, right? Because we're asking them to get creative. We're not giving them a subject and say write about this. We're asking them to pull that from their creative minds and tell us what they want to write the story about. So in the beginning it's kind of like, oh my god, I don't know, there's just so much, and there is, the if we could write a book for every um storyline they threw out there, we would probably have 50 books right out, in 6 months, because they just had so many really great ideas for stories. um and that's why I know that each of them probably felt that one starting beginning challenge, of like, okay, how do we start this thing, and then with the ending, everyone wants the ending of the story to be perfect and to be like, wow, this was a great book. So we may have had to do the ending for some of the books a couple of times, just because it was like, no, I think we should really end this way, because they wanted it to be
Yeah.
perfect, right? They wanted it to have a really good, powerful ending to the story. And again, what we do is we let them know, we are going to walk you through this, right? This is your book, and we're going to help you through this. So we kind of got to a point. We would get to a point where we started writing with the students at that point. Really building the storyline or connecting the different storylines in one book. But I think after the first, couple of months, the first 2 months of it, they became comfortable with what they were writing, what they were thinking was going to be the next part of the book that was coming out. And so I think after that, it got a little easier. So it wasn't like a lot of, okay, we're going to need to sit down with this group and just kind of walk them through it. Everyone was kind of on point once they got comfortable with their storyline and with their
All
team,
right.
and with their teammates. Yeah.
Wonderful. Cheryl, hey, thanks for joining us. Jeanette, thanks for joining us. And Cheryl says this is awesome. But I got somebody who just joined in, and that is none other than JC Gardner. How are you? How are you doing? So I want to ask, thank you so much. I want to ask the youth, what was it like when you saw your finished story for the first time? When your story was finished, you got that book in your hand, and you saw your name on that book. How did you feel? Had that big cheeseburger smile? Super exciting. Now, who's giggling and laughing? Because I know that they enjoyed it. Can you be white? Wow. What has your family said when they saw that book, especially those who didn't know that you were writing?
One
They
thing
were
I
surprised. They were proud, but they were surprised.
I'm sorry, somebody said what?
One thing I could say that my family members, like their reaction of the book, it's like they were in awe and shocked because I mean I always had a passion for writing. So
Oh, wow.
the fact that I actually wrote a book, it was something that everybody could be proud of, and it was like my moment to shine.
Oh, you're going to keep shining. Just keep writing. Essence, what about you? What did it feel like when you got that book in your hand and you saw your name written across the cover of that book?
It felt great, like to know, like I can like do things that I don't normally do, or like do things that like I wouldn't expect myself to do. Yeah.
Wow. So you guys were pushing yourself to a limit that you weren't even expecting. Question: what was your friends thinking when you told them? Did any of them not believe that you were an author? Or did they say, yeah, prove it? I don't believe it. What was the reaction to your friends?
My friends they didn't believe I wrote a book. They thought I was just playing until I
Hmm.
actually like showed them the book with my name on it, and it was like, "Oh, you actually wrote a book," and they was proud of me.
Oh, wow. Anybody else want to share? Kendall Jackson, I'm proud of you, Kendall.
Um,
My
to,
You
family,
should be.
What
um,
just took?
to piggyback off of what she was saying, when my friends found out that I wrote a book, they was being really
I'll
supportive,
share.
like saying how they was gonna buy the book, they ready for the next book, and things of
Mm,
that matter.
wow. Benjamin?
My family was really happy when I wrote the book and they wanted me to share it with my school, which I did do, and now the book is in my school. And I got in the morning announcements because of it.
Oh my goodness. So anybody else had that experience? Congratulations. Congratulations. They're probably bugging you at lunch to asking for autographs. You probably can't even get on the bus without somebody trying to get an autograph from you. And I think that's going to happen with each and every one of you. Who is planning on continuing to write, that want to continue to write, to be an author, to write another book, or
yeah,
even do a part two?
yeah, definitely. I would love to write another book again because I
Yeah, me
feel
too.
like this experience was such a great experience.
Wow.
Um,
Well, there you have it, Pat. Now, Miss Gardner, can you share a moment that really stood out for you while working with these young writers? Yes, I can hear you. Mm, wow. Yes. That's who you are. Milagros is saying blessed evening. And Cheryl again is saying getting kudos from everywhere. For lessons and the impact, Pat, beyond writing skills, what are some of the broader life lessons or values that you hope the children take away from this experience?
I hope that they take away one the friendships that they've made, right? They probably came into their classes not knowing any of the 9 or 8 students, But one, they walked away with 8 or 9 new friends, right? And that they can exchange phone numbers with,
Right.
and that they can call and they can be a support buddy for. And then we want them to take away what they've learned during this writing process, and use some of those skill sets that they learned in school. And we've actually received letters and emails from parents stating that their students are doing better in class. They're being they're
Wow.
participating more, they're raising their hands, they're throwing out ideas, they're getting this information from their teachers, from the teachers, the parents are, and the parents are sharing that information with us. And that just goes
Wow.
to kind of show that when they're going through this process of writing this book, they start to become a lot more confident, in themselves. And they understand and they learn a lot more about collaboration. So they want to support one another, and they can take that into their classroom and support the other students that are in their classroom with them as well. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, so we definitely try and build those skill sets or those techniques or things that they are going to be able to use once they leave that session, or once this graduation is complete. It's not the end. We're still touching base with the students, we're still keeping in touch, just like today.
No, so definitely not.
We're doing interviews, we're doing book signings, and so we're keeping them close and we're keeping them tight because they're family. Once they come into our doors, their family,
Yeah.
whether they want to be or not, they link to us forever. So yeah, that's the kind of love and support we want to make sure we provide for them in these sessions.
I want to piggyback off of something that Miss Gardner said, that they got up on a Saturday to come in to do it. Was there anybody that felt like, I'm just gonna roll over, I'm not getting out of this bed to go this Saturday. I'll go next Saturday. This Saturday, I just want to stay home. Or is she kidding me? She wants me to come on a Saturday. Is there anybody that felt like they just didn't want to get up on a Saturday? Because I commend you, Benjamin.
Well, my
I commend you all for getting up on a Saturday and then pressed in.
I'm not gonna lie. I kind of look
Benjamin?
forward to every Saturday, every other Saturday.
Oh, you did. Okay, Benjamin, how did you feel
Uh,
about it?
I sometimes didn't want to wake up because I had a soccer game later and I just didn't feel like getting up.
Oh,
But well, I have to go. Bye. I have an early soccer game tomorrow.
All right.
okay.
Well, thank you
All
for
right.
joining us.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you for sharing and joining us. Thank you. Preston, you had your hand raised. What was it like for you getting up on a Saturday?
I didn't want to get up on a Saturday because that's my one day off. And when my mom signed me up and she said I had to go on Saturday, I was sad because I had to wake up early. I had to wake up
But look at
early
the
in the morning
outcome.
like it was a regular school day, like I had Saturday school or something.
But look at the outcome. You are an author. That's something that you can add on to your resume.
It was worth it.
Has any What did you learn about yourself while writing your book? Any of you? What did you learn about yourself? Where's she at? Essence. What did you learn about yourself?
What I learned about myself is that I can do a lot of things even when I don't expect that I can do them, and I can do things if I put my mind to it.
All right, now here we go. Christian, what about you? What did you
Um,
learn about yourself while writing your book?
hmm, that I could be great at.
Well, you are great at it because you accomplished and you wrote this book. So you are great at it. What
Yeah,
about you, Kendall? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Christian.
you know, I said I guess I learned that I could see myself being an author. Being so that I already like reading a lot. You know, I mean that's kind of the obvious choice, but that's what I learned.
That's good. I'm happy to hear that we got somebody that wants to continue. And Kendall, what about you? What did you learn about yourself?
Something I learned about myself is maybe like finally finding that courage to really go out and chase my dreams when it comes to writing and actually sticking to the plan.
Okay. Ralph, has anything changed for you since you became an author? Dylan, the same question. Has anything changed for you?
For me, yes, things have changed because I'm getting more recognition than I did before,
Well,
and I also, like Ralph, had a mindset change that I can basically do I whatever I put my mind to.
wow. Listen to these young people. Preston, what about you? Has anything changed for you since you became an author?
Yes, things have changed for me, especially at school. Like I've gotten a lot of recognition from my books. Like it's people at my school that I've sold my books to that have told their family, and now they're coming to me for even more books. And then it's times during morning assembly where they'll have me come up and talk about it. And then also like Dylan and Ralph said about a mindset change that I can juggle basketball, robotics, and my book all at the same time.
I want anyone to tell me what is one children's book or book that you really loved or that inspired you, other than the book that you've written.
The Cat in the Hat. It
See,
may sound
Who
funny.
said the cat in the hat?
It may sound
No, it
funny.
don't. That's why I'm
But
asking. Who said that?
that's me, Ralph. That was me. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. The reason
It's one
why
of my
it
favorite
was
books, but don't tell nobody.
when I was younger, the reason why I liked Cat in the Hat so much was A, because it was kind of strange, abnormal, and kind of the concept of a giant cat taking these kids out into the world to learn. It was like funny, but the reason why it was just a tad bit of an inspiration for my book was because one of my characters is one of those people that like to learn about everything and they want to dive deep and discover the truth, and also it kind of helped me think of the abduction idea in our story. But
We have some people who are viewing that are saying, commending you on your mindset change, how powerful it is. Cheryl says, yes, to hear them speak and to say they had a mindset change that's powerful. Milagros is saying change. That's powerful. Patrice is cracking up. I guess we got to be on that cat in the hat because she's definitely a reader. Cheryl said that she loves this, and again, Patrice says that she loved that one also. Cheryl says my favorite book when I was younger, I guess it was The Cat in the Hat. So see, you're not alone with The Cat in the Hat. You know, and a lot so they know what you've been through and what they're going through. So they're authors and they're applauding each and every one of you. So welcome to the family of being an author because they're loving it and they're loving on you. So that's something that is really special. So if you can write another book, what would it be about and who would it be for?
If I was to write another book, my book would just be like a book of poems, like leaning more towards the poetry side to really get my voice out there. And I feel like it would really be for myself more than others, because some people like older, they they want to do writing, they want to write their own book, but it's like when that writer's block hit, it suddenly just changes everything, and they just put the pen down. But I just want to get myself out there. And
Well, keep writing because I think with Pat that you'll get yourself out there. Anybody else? If they had to write another book or wanted to write a book, would they write one and who would it be for?
If I had to write another book, I'll probably write it about
I would
like the
like to go.
Well,
perspective. I'll probably write about the perspective of like
Wait, 1 minute,
other
Ralph.
people's lives. Hmm?
Oh, okay. So you want to write about other people and their lives and their
Like
journeys.
from like a bird's eye view, like how other people live life and whatnot, like their challenges and all that stuff. Maybe like inspire other people to like
That's a
use their
lot of soul
challenges as
searching.
like a good thing.
If I were to
It's a
write,
lot of soul searching, a lot of research. Wonderful. Put Ralph first, and then who was that? Preston next. Ralph.
if I was going to write it, well, one, yes, I would absolutely love to write another book. And two, if like I don't really know if I would I think I would make it more or less just for myself, like just for entertainment purposes, cuz I feel like books out of everything, they should be mostly used for entertainment. So maybe like make another little book, a little fun mystery book or something.
Okay. Anybody else? If they had to write another book, would they write another book, and what would it be about? And who
if I
would it
were
be for?
All right, if I were to write another book, it would probably be about something more like mythical, like about like wizards or something. I feel like I want to go more in that
Oh
area
wow,
next time.
more like the Harry
That's
Potter
cool.
kind of thing.
Yes.
So do we have somebody that's going to collaborate? You two collaborating on a book, and that's how it starts. You collaborate on a book, and you continue. And I believe that Miss Pat would be able to help you with that.
I like books that engage the mind.
Miss Gardner and kids write their own stories.
see, if I were to write another book, it would be like about adventures and stuff.
Miss Pat or either Miss Gardner, what advice would you give to teachers or parents who want to help kids write their own stories?
I'm gonna let Dylan finish what what he was saying. Go ahead, Dylan, real
Oh,
quick.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. And then I'll let Miss JC answer your question.
See, what I was saying was that I would write a book about
Dylan, if
adventure.
you wanted to, if you had to write another book,
Yes, so if I were to write another book, I would write it about adventure and getting outdoors and doing types of stuff like that because a lot of people don't have the inspiration to read about like other stuff like learning and stuff. I want to write a book that wants to engage the reader and connect it to their personal lives and gives them a motivation to do something.
you have Pat a lot of creative youth here who have stories beyond recognition.
Hmm.
And I got a feeling you're going to be very busy, and they're going to be very busy because you have some writers here that I don't even think that they even knew that they wanted to write. But just
It is
going through this
generally like
phase and
that.
this stage and taking this journey,
Yeah, it's probably like
this is
that for
amazing.
it's probably like that for a number of them. They come not knowing what to expect, so it's not coming in the first day like, yes, let's get started. It's really um, the unknown for a lot of them, because it is the first time that they're doing something like this, like actually writing a book that will be published, that will be in the libraries, that will be on Amazon, that will be available for purchase, so for a lot of them it was a mind-blowing experience. And now that they have gone through that process, they feel like, okay, I can do this, like I've accomplished something big. So right now there's no boundaries, there's no limits to what I could do next. So I can write a book about being out in the adventure, or I can write a book similar to Harry Potter with wizards and teachers and things like that, or I can write a book, or that could be a documentary, like what Essence was saying, just following the lives of some people, whether it's people that experience devastation, with floods or Hurricane Katrina or different things like that. She's thinking of something more along the lines of a documentary. So when we kind of get these thoughts and these ideas from students, we do kind of figure out how can we take it and make it into something other than a book, which is what we did with the tormentors. We took that book and we turned it into a short film that we show at schools, because the book is about bullying, right? And we know even today bullying is still very, very relevant. So when we do go through the concept of the books, we are already thinking beyond the book and thinking about what what's the next step with this book. Can we turn this book into a play? Can we turn this book into a short film? And that also gives them the experience of not just writing and being an author, but then also flipping that and saying, okay, now I can be a part of this screenplay, or I can be a part of this movie, this short film that we're going to do. And so it's definitely starting with writing a book, but it's also that we're trying to take that and turn it into other things that can give them some additional experience with not just being an author, but being a screenplay writer, or being a part of a movie, or a short film or something like that. So I'm excited that they still have that energy, and they still
Yeah.
have passion, to want to keep
Well,
writing, creating.
while they're working with you, I think they're going to continue to have that passion. Cheryl was saying that she is so happy for you all. She says that I pray God continues to bless each and every one of you all. Jackie, let me ask you a question. What would advice would you give to parents or teachers who want to help kids write their own stories?
Can you repeat that once again?
I'm saying, what advice would you give to parents or teachers who want to help kids write their own stories?
Oh, definitely tap into their creative space. Sometimes I feel like schools, especially English, can be really stifling, and it can seem, boring as well. So my thing is to bring in that fun creativity
Mhm.
into that lane. Don't let everything be so serious and stringent and strict. Writing can be fun. It doesn't have to be a chore. It can actually expand your mind, and you can actually feel like you can tell the story from a different perspective. A lot of times people think you can only tell the story one way, but actually, there's multiple ways to tell a story.
Right.
You can add humor, you can add different scenery, you can add different characters, as this group has discovered, and just allow the student or your daughter or your son to just be free with their writing and allow them to express themselves through the power of the pen. Ask them, what do you want to write about? How do you see this story? Because there's different ways to see a story, even historical stories. So I just like to encourage, expressing that creativity, allowing them to show what they want to do and how they want to say things, because you will be absolutely amazed and stunned by what they come up with, because it's not just your way. And that's what I love about working with these wonderful youth year after year after year. I've been with Pat for many years, and what
Mhm.
they come up with, is amazing. We like she said, I just can't emphasize it enough that they have the creativity, they have the ideas. Just allow them to express it. And I want to also note this group. Some of the
It was
authors on this
beautiful.
group wrote in a different genre. We had young men writing as women. That is really hard to do at this juncture. They actually wrote as girls. And then we had some authors writing as older people or as grandmothers. I mean, it's a lot of talent. It's just a lot of talent that you have no idea that your student or your son or daughter possesses already within them. And they were able to actually transform themselves into writing in a different way. I mean, writing yourself as an alien, that takes a lot of creativity.
Yeah.
You may not
It
think that they
does
have it
take a
in them,
lot.
it does, but they are definitely
It takes
able
a
to
lot.
do that, and more, and
It
writing against
definitely.
type, like writing against a character that's not who you are, but you have to learn that this is who the character is. So I mean, they did all of that and more. They did all of that and more. So I hope that helped, but I would just say
You
just
guys
allow that
have people
creativity.
popping up on the side here saying it definitely does. To be creative and for them to allow that creativity is just them expressing themselves. And we have people here on the side saying, stay inspired and keep writing. Dylan, that's my friend. His name is Live, Laugh, Love. Nadia, proud of you all from Eder J64. And this is Lily, not Nadia. And they're just shouting you guys out all over the place. For any of you young people, what would you say to another kid or young person who wants to write a book? They don't feel as though that they can. What would you say to them, Dylan? What would you say to somebody,
See, I would
but they
say,
don't think that they can? What would you say to?
see, basically, I would just say that, just put your mind to it, and that it's not about what and how you feel and it's about what you want to do, and having that motivation to
Mm,
just go in and do it. So basically, I would just say that they could do anything. They could
wow,
just
like
put.
Nike, just do it. And you're 12 years old.
Yes, ma'am.
Dylan is 12, and just listening to him. Wow. Okay, Ralph. What about you? If you had a friend that said that they were interested in writing, what would you say to them?
So I would say, well, first, I always like to start off with the bad news and then tell them the good news right after. So I would probably start off with how you're probably going to have like writer's block and there's going to be a couple different challenges in the way. But the great thing about writing a book is that you don't have to rush it. You can put down all your ideas, and also, you can take inspiration from pretty much everywhere. So there's no need to stress out too much if and when the problems come up.
You have people just I don't know whether to read more of what they're saying or to ask you more questions, because you have people saying it's beautiful. They're shouting names out. They're saying preach, brother, preach. 12 years old. Wow, it's unbelievable. Woo, they're saying so much about you guys. I can just imagine what's happening when you're out there and you're signing that or read these amazing stories, these amazing books. Pat, how can our listeners support your work or read these amazing books?
I'm sorry, I didn't even hear that question. They can always visit us. We're on social media, Youth Writers Challenge or Youth Writers Rock. Um, we are, or myself, Patricia Johnson Harris, or on the web at youthwriterschallenge.org or youthwritersrock.com. Um, yeah, anyone that might know us, but we're definitely on Instagram. We're on Facebook, so we can be reached that way as well. We are starting with registration for our session that'll begin in January of 26 in September. So I would say if anyone that has a student that's in grades 4 through 12, to please reach out for more information on the registration so that we can be sure that we have them on our email list, so that they can get information about the upcoming registration for students.
And if you wasn't able to catch all of that, you can watch the replay, or either you can contact me, and I'll make sure that you get that information. This has been, we witnessed the beauty of creativity through the eyes of children and the dedication of mentors who believe in nurturing their stories. To our, and keep using your voices. Stories matter. And to every listener out there, remember sometimes the biggest impact we can make is simply helping someone tell their truth. If you love this episode, don't forget to subscribe, share, and follow us on social media. And then the basic black empowerment, Dr. Carolyn Stevens. She's going to be with us throughout the journey. Until next time, stay inspired, stay true, and remember, you may bend, but you are not easily broken. Thank you guys so much. The titles of those books, because I collect everybody that come on here. I collect everybody's books, so I'll be getting in touch with you, Pat. Thank you for being here. Now here is Friday night going into Saturday, and look at Dylan. I don't know whether you're happy that it's over or that this was your first time, but joining us tonight, I appreciate it. Go ahead and enjoy your Saturday. I think you may be free tomorrow. I think it's all over with, unless you guys have some dates, because you guys are going to be busy. You're authors, and it never stops. Somebody's always going to want you out there signing autographs, coming in, speaking engagements, talking, schools, libraries, wherever have you. Pat, you're doing a great job. Thank you so much, Ms. Gardner, for joining us and being one of the mentors as well and helping these youth out. I am so proud of each and every one of you. You got my side just blowing up. Super Goat Get Two or something. Awesome. Thanks for sharing your truth. This is so cool. It's just so much that's coming up on this screen for you guys. So I appreciate you all, and you guys have a great night.